Hello and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Annalise Porman. At their March 20th meeting, the Monroe County Public Library Board of Trustees discussed updates on the Southwest Library branch. The branch was closed in January after a frozen exhaust pipe led to extensive flooding in the building. According to Director Greer Carson, the library received $200,000 for repairs.
As we reported last month, all of the mitigation work is done. That was the overall assessment of the damage, the removal of the damaged materials, the removal of the standing water and all of the related moisture, and preparing the floors and the walls for restoration. We did this through a company called Blue Moose, who we work with a lot. They were incredibly responsive in their efforts. Our insurance provider paid Blue Moose directly to do the mitigation work, and when we got the okay from insurance, the deductible for that work went straight to Blue Moose. So if you noticed a $10,000 check in the finance report, that went straight to Blue Moose. That's our deductible. So we got through that. As we also shared last month, we had just gotten word from insurance that the subrogation was complete and that the restoration work could begin, and we got a check for about $200,000 to begin ordering and installing new flooring throughout most of the building and to rebuild the interior walls and outlets affected by the flooding. And we have engaged Core Restoration to do this work. They are currently locating all of the specific flooring products that we're interested in and giving us estimated lead times on those orders. That lead time is ultimately going to determine what our reopening date is, because that's the biggest work, the most work that has to be done in the building.
Carson said that they do not currently have a planned reopening date for the library because there are so many parties involved.
While we're reviewing the ordering of materials, our insurance provider wants to conduct an additional investigation specific to just the HVAC system, which of course was the cause of the failure and the flood. And they want to look at the HVAC system one more time with all parties present and all of the related mechanicals before they determine the official cause of the actuator failure and the responsible party involved. And so this last investigation meeting will not take place until April 23rd. Our hope is that that work, or the subsequent work after the investigation of the HVAC system, may be able to continue while we continue our plans for reopening, so that the HVAC work, the investigation, and then the decision about the claim does not necessarily impact our reopening timeline. That is our hope. We are not going to know that for sure until we get to that April 23rd meeting. So due to the number of parties involved, and there are quite a few, the sensitivity surrounding potential responsibility and the many related restoration costs, we have just not been able to commit to a reopening date yet. And as much as we'd like to, and certainly as much as our patrons deserve to know when their branch is going to reopen, we simply can't set a date without risking having to then turn around and modify it again when we get additional information.
Board member Kathy Lozer asked what precautions will be taken to ensure this does not happen again. Carson replied that the investigation should provide an answer.
So that is our biggest goal out of all of this, apart from getting through the insurance and the money and all and the time and all of that, is to get in writing an official recommendation for changes we might need to make to ensure this never happens again. We've kicked around ideas with the contractors and with insurance, but we need an official, this was the cause, this is the responsible party, and this is what you do to make sure it doesn't happen again. So all of that will be a part of that HVAC investigation and decision.
Carson said that the library has been, quote, very intentionally not putting a lot of information out to the public about what's coming because we don't have anything to share, end quote. However, he said that they have agreed to an interview with the Herald Times so that the public can see how much damage the building incurred. At the Monroe County Plan Commission meeting on March 19th, Planning Department Associate Planner Ann Crecelius presented a rezone request to the Commission. The Hopkins property, located at 7540 South Old State Road 37, is asking for a rezone from Agricultural Rural Reserve to Suburban Residential. Crecelius introduced the rezone request and presented some background information on the property to the Commission.
So we are looking at a 7.1 acre petition site. It is a rezone request from Agricultural Rural Reserve to Suburban Residential with a waiver of final hearing requested. The site is located at 7540 South Old State Road 37. This is located in Clear Creek Township, Section 8, and is currently unplatted. So the current zoning map shows that the petition site is made up of 3 parcels and is 1 legal lot of record. It is split zoned between Ag RR and Suburban Residential SR. The comprehensive plan identifies this area as rural residential and is consistent with all the adjoining properties. The site is currently developed with a single-family residential home and 1 accessory structure, a detached garage. The property maintains a large portion of buildable area, which is considered area that are slopes on 15% or under, with steeper slopes as you move towards the west.
Crecelius shared that the Highway Department had some input on the rights of way, but said that it should not be too much of a problem.
We do have some comments from the highway project engineer about the right-of-way permits. They did request, it was allowed, they have the right to request right-of-way activity permits at the time of a rezone. They did have some comments. They would like to see one of the existing 3 driveways to be reconfigured. We don't necessarily see this as being a large issue for the rezone, as the Highway Department has the full capacity and authority to work with the petitioner on the configuration after the rezone.
Crecelius said that the Planning Department recommends approval of the rezone request. Commissioner Julie Thomas said she supports the rezone, but wants to make sure that they are not creating future problems for the Planning Department.
I mean, I like this idea overall. I mean, let's just state that at the outset. I'm not arguing against doing this. It does visually, it makes a lot of sense, right? I'm just trying to think through. I think the thing we want to avoid is that bigger red lot becoming 6 to 12 housing developments if it becomes SR. And that would be potentially with the CDO, of course. But you know what I'm saying? I'm not sure why we want to do a split zone here.
The commission voted unanimously to send a favorable recommendation to the Monroe County Commissioners. The Bloomington City Plan Commission met on March 19th to discuss a rezone request for a planned unit development that would cover almost 140 acres on the southwest side of Bloomington. Interim Planning and Transportation Director and Development Services Manager Jackie Scanlon presented the petition.
So the property we're looking at tonight, we have looked at 3 other times here at Plan Commission, 3 times last year. The property is 138.51 acres, and it is the remainder of an old PUD called Sudbury PUD that was approved in 1999. So you can see it here kind of outlined in the maroon, and where the star is located, it is in the southwest part of town.
The land is currently zoned as a planned unit development under a partially developed Sudbury PUD, which was approved in 1999. Sudbury Development Partners, LLC, is requesting that the land be rezoned as a new PUD, which includes the approval of district ordinance and a preliminary plan. Scanlon walked through further basic information on the site.
So again, 138.51 acres. Currently zone plan unit development, and then you'll see on the zoning map, I think through a zoning map error, there's a small bit of residential medium lot R2 on the west side of the parcel, which that will be corrected as well if this petition is approved. The comprehensive plan designation is neighborhood residential for this area and much of the surrounding. This is also part of Focus Area 7, which is designated in the comprehensive plan, and the property is undeveloped.
Scanlon explained what a planned unit development is and gave some background on the property.
So what we're doing here tonight is the first part of a planned unit development. So just because there are so many people involved and so that we can be clear about what we're doing, a planned unit development is a type of zoning that the petitioner is requesting to put on the site. So someone already did that. Someone did that in 1999. And our zoning code for the city is a regulation. It has regulations for what you can do and how you can build things and do things on your property for the whole city. A plan unit development basically writes specific rules for your site. So that is done through the district ordinance. That is the rules. And then the preliminary plan is a basic plan for what you think will develop there based on those rules. So the petitioner tonight is requesting a new plan and unit development. So they have to propose a new district ordinance, a new set of rules, and a new preliminary plan to guide the development with those rules of this large area.
Scanlon said Sudbury's proposal includes 5 neighborhoods, 4,250 dwelling units, and new commercial uses over a 10-year development period. One of the commercial uses outlined in the Plan Commission packet is a hotel, as well as multiple roadways, trail, and utility connections. During public comment, Arbor Ridge resident Deb Pekin said that she has concerns about density within the proposal.
I do want to talk about density, though. That is my topic. The 2024 ROI Housing Study Update estimates that by the year 2035, Bloomington will need 4,155 more housing units. This one development, is suggesting that they are going to provide 4,250 units of housing by the year 2034. This one location. Does that seem reasonable? That doesn't seem reasonable to me. Looking at other density, this is 140 acres, which is 0.22 of a square mile. But only 62% of it is buildable, right? So that's 0.134 of a square mile, roughly 86 acres. For comparison, Indianapolis has 2,270 people living per square mile. At 86 acres, that's a density of 304 people. In Chicago, 12,124 people live per square mile. On our 1.34 of a square mile, or 86 acres, that would equal 1,624 people. This proposal of 4,250 units, if only 2 people lived in each unit, that would equal 8,500 people, or 5 times the population density of Chicago. I don't think that's appropriate for Bloomington.
Heading home of South Central Indiana Director Mary Morgan said she supports the proposal and encouraged the Plan Commission to give a positive recommendation.
I spent 5 hours this afternoon with several dozen folks from this community at a convening that's really focused on building an inclusive community. And one really critical part of being a welcoming, inclusive community is to make sure that people have the kind of housing that they need. And I think everybody agrees that right now we are not able as a community to offer housing for the range of needs that we see. That's one of the reasons why I'm particularly excited about this proposal, because it offers a range of housing proposals. I'm really excited about the potential flexibility to go below 120% AMI. I would love to see 60 to 80% if possible, but I think that's a future thing. I know some of the partners in this proposal. They are rooted in this community. They care very deeply about this community, have a great deal of confidence in their ability to move this project forward. So I would encourage you to give a positive recommendation to their proposal tonight. Thank you.
Commissioner Tim Ballard expressed his support for the planned unit development and said that although the project is not perfect, the pros outweigh the cons.
I think this proposal has changed pretty dramatically from what we saw midsummer last year. I feel like the petitioners have been very open to the public, to hearing comments, to making changes, to adjusting. There's no perfect petition. We see plenty of those. There's no such thing. There's pros and cons every single time. Really, our job as the commissioners is to listen to the petition and then look at the staff report and then either support it or support another route. I think for me, the pros very much outweigh the cons in this proposal. I think they've been addressed. I think they're going to be addressed every step of the way. This is a major long-term plan. I think there's a checks and balances system already in place here that they've been working with the staff. So I really feel that Again, it's not perfect, but I feel like it's going to address things along the way, the concerns as it's been addressing so far. And I very much feel like it's addressing one of the biggest issues that we continue to talk about, which is more housing that's desperately needed.
Commissioner Tron Enright Randolph said he was in support of adding additional housing. However, he is concerned that there won't be enough opportunities for individuals to own their housing units.
I'm in support of housing. I'm born and raised here. So yeah, I know the difficulties for the whole array of housing stock that's needed. And also I feel compelled to say I respect renters and I respect homeowners. There was a comment earlier, but I do think there needs to be a better balance there. We've talked about balancing this PUD, and the one thing I haven't seen any commitments from, and I hope that the Common Council will take this up, is options to buy. Condos, single-family dwellings, but we really need to make sure that that's part of this. The last thing we need is 4,000 plus units that are only rentals. I don't think that's your intention. I think the intentions of the developers are honest. I've seen a couple promising things over the years I've served here that they've went above and beyond to provide the community to gather feedback on other petitions. I don't think they just do that for the fun of it. It takes their time, energy, and their investment to do.
The Plan Commission voted 7-0 to 1, with Chris Smith abstaining, to give a positive recommendation on the proposal. The proposal will next move to the City Council for its consideration. On March 18th, the Bloomington Redevelopment Commission heard an update regarding offers for a new hotel in the Trades District. Vice President of Innovation and Strategic Partnerships at the Mill, John Fernandez, presented the Trades District Agreement to the Commission.
We've gone through this process that started almost a year ago, in a couple months, where we made a notice of offering. We published it once we had appraisals for the city that were done by 2 appraisers, so that we could set kind of a minimum offering price for all the properties that the Redevelopment Commission owns within the Trades District. We put out that offering to lay out a vision of what we're trying to do and how we would envision a process going forward. We didn't make an RFQ that we want X to be on, this particular use to be on track 1, this use on track 2. But rather was a general bring forward ideas that can help us advance the vision that the city has for the Trades District. We did receive, as part of that, an initial proposal from Allingwood to do a boutique hotel, a kind of soft brand hotel at the site, and that sparked a lot of interest. We never really landed on final terms. But in the process of reporting on that, it generated a lot more interest. And so we spoke to other potential developers and pushed the process to see if we could get, the best possible deal. As of about a week ago, we had 3 proposals, one from Allingwood, one from Pure Development, and one from MHG Hotels Group. Based on those recommendations, we were prepared to lay out all the different terms, answer lots of questions from the commissioners about the relative advantages of one proposal versus the other. I felt very comfortable about where we were at coming into the meeting. But about 2:30, let me make sure I don't misquote myself here. Yeah, it was about 2:30. The MHG group sent an updated draft LOI that, it's significantly better for the city than their previous proposal. But I personally don't think it would be good for us to have kind of a live auction negotiation over this. And so I would prefer that the Redevelopment Commission hit pause, withdraw this resolution, direct me to engage in further diligence with all 3 of the developers, and then come back with a kind of final best proposal that we can bring up in, the next meeting or the, subsequent meeting. That's, 1 to 2 meetings, but put an end to this because, like I said, this is a good problem to have. The proposals are getting better, not worse, so I think we're in a strong position, but it makes sense to me to, take some time to really do the diligence and not just react on the fly when we just got this update at about 2:20.
Commission member Deborah Meyerson asked whether other proposals could be revised as well. Fernandez replied that they could. Then Commission member Deborah Hutton asked if there was a deadline to submit revised proposals.
Yes, in terms of MHG coming back with a revised proposal, do the other proposals now have a chance to do anything? I'm just trying to get a sense of what kind of...
That's up to them.
Okay,
but yeah,
that's fine. I just wasn't sure in terms of trying to close the gate so that the final discussions can kind of move forward. It's nice, again, to have people willing to revise their vision for what they can do, but just trying to get a sense of
and it's
equal opportunity.
Absolutely, and I think it's also important to have conversations to, what's motivating the change and why now.
The Commission voted unanimously to postpone the resolution until their next meeting, which will take place on April 1st. And that is all for CATSweek. Thank you for joining us. For CATS and WFHB, I'm Annalise Poorman.
Do you know that thousands of children go without school supplies every day? Teachers Warehouse is a 100% volunteer-powered organization. We service the educational and creative needs of students in Monroe, Brown, Greene, Lawrence, and Owen counties by distributing school supplies free to the teachers. Teachers Warehouse is composed of 7 rooms filled with books, pencils, paper, and even tools to motivate students. If it's in a classroom, we'll supply it. To donate new or gently used school supplies or volunteer, give us a call at 812-929-7522 or email us at contact@teacherswarehouse.net.